Well, hello there, my friend. Welcome aboard to the Catholic Teacher Daily Message. My name is Jonathan Doyle. I am really pleased you are here. Hope I can bring you something useful today. Please make sure you have subscribed to this channel. If you like what you hear today, hit that subscribe button. It does make a big difference. Yesterday was the patronal feast here in Australia of St. Mary of the Cross, St. Mary MacKillop. She is Australia's first saint, kind of a big deal for us here in Australia. And the quote that I shared yesterday was from her, and it's simply, we must lean more on God and less upon ourselves. Like a lot of things saints say, this is like so simple, but has layers. It's like Shrek, you know, onions have layers, donkey. There's layers here. I would suggest to you, my friend, that the fundamental human disposition is self-reliance. The fundamental way that most of us tend to interface with life is, well, we trust God, you know, we definitely say that part out loud, but if you're anything like me, it's very easy to end up living your life in complete self-reliance. I mean, I think that's where worry comes from, right? It's where anxiety comes from, is the classic nature of anxiety is that we sense that there is something coming towards us that is going to exceed our abilities to deal with it, and that leads to anxiety and worry. And of course, in the modern world, there's so many things that we can experience worry and anxiety about. So what we find in someone like Mary MacKillop is somebody who, like us, had ongoing, complex difficulties. If you know anything about her life, she had so many problems that she faced. Not just problems from external forces outside the church, but very much challenges and difficulties from within the church. She was temporarily excommunicated at one point, and now she's a saint. So what she teaches us is that as we go through life, we're really faced with this fundamental question. Do we trust God or do we trust ourselves? So easy to say, so hard to live. If you go back to the Garden of Eden in Genesis, you have to understand that original sin was essentially a crisis of trust. It wasn't about apple theft. It really wasn't. It's not like God was there going, well, that's it. You stole. Stealing's bad. It was a fundamental collapse of trust in the goodness of God, in the provision of God, in the nature of God. So of course, the original sin then flows through everything else in reality. Thank you, Adam and Eve. We are faced with the same reality. The essential sin, I guess, in our lives, and we don't want to blame the victim here and beat ourselves up for it too much, but the essential problem we face is that we consistently lapse back into awareness of God, but not actually trusting that God is going to get us through the concrete circumstances of our lives. This is the task. This is the real challenge. So what I have been saying for the last 20 years to Catholic teachers all around the world and Catholic leaders is the invitation for all of us to fully live our vocations, for God to bring about into the world all that we're capable of bringing, is essentially the task of learning to really trust. And I think if you start to take that path, you're going to find yourself pretty much out there on the edge, like nervous, worried, questioning. But that's the adventure of faith. That's the journey of faith. And what I can say is that when you get to that place of really leaning on God in the difficulties of your life, my experience has been that consistently amazing things happen. So I constantly tell the story of a speech I gave back in 2017. I had about 10,000 people in the room. And as I walked up on that stage, I remember really feeling profound anxiety. Well, actually, in the weeks leading up to it, I felt profound anxiety. The miracle was that as I walked up on the stage, I really didn't. And I'm somebody that has struggled with nerves and anxiety and, you know, in over many years. I used to, less so these days. But there was this extraordinary experience, grace of being able to trust. And in that moment of trust, the Holy Spirit was genuinely able to work through me. So this is kind of the piece that I want you to take away. Our assumption is that trusting will make us vulnerable, which I guess it does, and that we risk and that bad stuff can happen. What actually happens when we really trust is amazing stuff. And Satan doesn't want you to know that, of course. Satan's desire is that you would be completely unaware of this dynamic, that as the fear ramps up, Satan would want you to believe that God's not going to show up for you. So how does this relate to Catholic teachers? Two things. One is the question of ambition. I talk about this quite frequently in Catholic schools, like people trying to get promoted and people trying to get ahead. And what do you do with ambition? Well, we learn to really lean and trust on God and trust that God will take care of the details and God will position us where he wants us to be positioned, whether that's the janitor or whether that's being a cardinal, We just got to learn to lean into the trust that God's going to put us where he wants to put us, the more that we abandon ourselves to him. And second, just in the daily grind of Catholic education, like the daily grind, the fatigue, the conflicts, the difficulties that we face day in, day out, learning to lean into those moments and lean on God. Like literally, I have been teaching this for years. It is as practical as you've got a really difficult class. As you're walking towards that class, just pray, Lord, help me to truly rely on you in this moment. Help me to abandon my agenda, my fears, and trust in you in this moment so that I can be what you want me to be for these students. All right? So I know I'm right on this. Sounds preposterous to say it. I know that I'm right. The journey of our Christian life is the journey of abandonment to faith and trust. And I'm teaching you this because I've struggled with it my entire life and I'm still working on it every single day. And I think what God tends to do is he gives you difficulties, he gives you problems, he gives you challenges, he permits them in your life so that you are consistently placed in a position of choosing between self-reliance or leaning into God. So thank you, St. Mary of the Cross, for reminding us of that. And I pray for you, my friend, today that you'll go back into your vocational work as a Catholic educator and that you will really learn to lean into trust in those specific challenging moments of your day, in your parenting, in your marriage, in your friendships, wherever you are. That why call ourselves Christians if we're not learning to live a life where we really abandon ourselves to God. I'm going to be in the United States between September 5 and October 5. So if you're watching this in the US and you would like me to come and speak, there'll be links here you can go and check out. You'll be able to get in touch with me. So I've got a few spots available, a few down days. And I don't really like down days. I would rather be out kind of doing stuff. So please reach out if you're in the US and you would like me to speak between September 5 and October 5. A bunch of other links down here. My new website should be there. A whole bunch of other stuff. Listen, do me a favor, leave a comment today. Would you please tell me how you're going and your experience of trust and any other thoughts on the content today? I'd love you to share this with people. And there's a link here as well to sign up to the daily message that we put out. So that'd be awesome too. All right, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for what you're doing in Catholic education. My name's Jonathan Doyle. This has been the Catholic Teacher Daily Message. You and I are going to talk again tomorrow.